Hello, and thank you for joining me for this short presentation, 3 critical questions to answer in the first 5 minutes of eye gaze use. My name is James Brinton. I'm a speech and language pathologist with Eyegaze in Fairfax, Virginia. What I'd like to cover in this session, let's talk about the most common challenges that our eye gaze users encounter. I will be sharing the 3 critical questions that we want to answer within the first few minutes of any eye gaze trial. And as companion documents to this presentation, I will share my pre-screening checklist and eye gaze skills hierarchy sheet. As assessors, we have several challenges up front. These include being tasked to assess with time sensitivity and collect critical data that will truly impact someone for years to come. And we're also asked to basically deliver a solution and deliver hope for communication to the individual and to the family. This requires us to know how to ask the right questions during the evaluation, specifically when it comes to eye gaze as an access method. We have to understand what's happening when it's going right, and also if it starts to break down, understanding what is happening and being able to troubleshoot in the moment. Over my 7 years of working with complex eye gaze communication cases, I have run into several common complaints, including people saying, eye gaze, it just does not work for my eyes. It doesn't read my eyes. And people start to question, is it me? Is it my eyes? Or maybe it's my glasses. Is it the computer or the eye tracker? Is it the light coming from my living room window? I've heard I can only type 2 or 3 words a minute. I hate it. I have to keep recalibrating. Or things like I wasn't taught how to use it. I don't know how to access Amazon and Facebook, or it won't work with my eye condition. You all have probably heard common complaints as well when it comes to eye gaze as an access method. Our goal with the Eyegaze Edge, which is the device that we make here at Eyegaze, is to be able to answer all of these complaints and answer these questions with our unique combination of hardware, our eye tracker, and our software, our image processing software that gives us rich amounts of data. What does research say we have to keep in mind? This is a great article from the ASHA Perspectives magazine in the summer of 2018 that focuses on our need as assessors to collect comprehensive data with a variety of eye trackers. And it talks about the importance of why that is. We have to take into consideration the individual's cognitive linguistic factors, their eye physiology, both form and function, and we must be aware of eye conditions and an eye tracker's ability to compensate for them. This includes conditions such as cataracts, ptosis, nystagmus, strabismus, mydriasis, and cortical visual impairment, or CVI. So when I set up an Eyegaze Edge in front of someone, these are the 3 critical questions that I start to look at and try and answer right away. First of all, set it up in front of them and look at the image on the screen and ask, is their eye trackable? Is this eye tracker tracking their eyes? The next question I ask as we go through the calibration process, how accurate can they be? How accurately can I get them calibrated? Once they're through calibration, my third question is, can I optimize their access to the things that they actually need? Can I translate that accuracy and calibration into accuracy in a functional communication or social activity that will benefit their life? The way I answer these is, again, this camera with our software helps me answer these questions pretty rapidly. Before we get to this point, though, before we even see them, we need to ask questions and conduct a thorough pre-screening, including asking about their eye history, including any surgeries. We just ask, tell me about your eyes. Is there anything I should know? Anything different? Any surgeries, accidents, anything with your eye movement? We want to know if they can look up, down, left, and right. We want to ask about their blink reflex. Do they blink? And are they able to, and do they use liquid tears as part of their daily hygiene? Using liquid tears is so important for eye gaze users, no matter what device they are using, to keep those eyes refreshed and moist. We want to know what type of glasses they have, specifically what type of lenses. Are they single vision, maybe bifocal or trifocal? If they are they lined bifocals or are they progressive lenses? Do they wear prism lenses? We want to understand how and where they will be positioned when we see them. This way, we can bring the device to them quickly, effortlessly, and start answering these questions. Really important, tell me, how are they communicating right now? And have they tried any other devices? How did those trials go? You want to ask this so we can start understanding what is happening specifically with eye gaze. If there were any challenges, what were they? So we can start anticipating where breakdowns might start to occur and break through them. Then, of course, we're going to ask the individual, what is it that you need and want to do with your eyes when you find the right device for you? I love this picture. It shows a person with ALS supported in a comfortable chair. So there are really 4 steps in getting somebody set up with the Eyegaze Edge. First and foremost, we get the body comfortably supported and stable. Next, we bring the screen to be parallel with the plane of their face, like you see here. Third is you swing the camera and you point it directly at their eyes. And then fourth, with the Eyegaze Edge, this is a unique feature. You focus the camera and get a crisp and clear eye image on the screen. Those are the 4 steps that we go through quickly and quietly to get them to the point of calibration to start answering these questions. So step 1, is their eye trackable? Once we set them up in front of the device, point the camera at their eye and focus that camera, we will get a beautiful on-screen eye image. This will answer question 1 for us. We will let the eye image be our guide. And when we set this up, we are looking for this little white dot called a tracking indicator or a tracking net. It will be between 2 of the boxes on the eye image, depending on which camera you use from us. We also see in this crisp and clear image visual hallmarks. We see a pupil center dot and a corneal reflection dot, in addition to this tracking indicator on the screen. As soon as I set up the camera and point and focus it at someone's eyes, when I see these hallmarks, I know that the camera has found and is tracking their eye. This can happen within 10 seconds. Critical question to answer, and we find out the answer right away. Let's take a look at this brief video. This is one of our office staff. We want to look at this image and ask, are her eyes being tracked? We can see already it's pointed at her face, her eyes, and we see that visual tracking indicator in between the right box and the center box. Focusing the camera, and we see that tracking indicator is present, letting me know immediately the camera has found and is tracking her eyes. Just as a review, here's an image of what it looks like when a camera is properly tracking. We see that tracking indicator between his face and the right eye, and we see that the pupils are in focus and they're clear, and we can distinguish them. Versus an image where that tracking indicator is not there. So between the face and the eye, that white pronounced dot is gone. And you'll notice, so this person has a detached retina, so the reflection coming back from the pupil is not what it should be, and the eye tracker is really struggling to track this person's eye. It does not have it at this moment. So this on-screen eye image really guides us in the moment to know what next question to ask. We're not getting that tracking indicator. Let's let's move the position, let's move the focus, maybe let's try the other eye. It will let us know when we've got it. Number 2, how accurate can they be? We want to look at the calibration data screen. After calibration on the Eyegaze Edge, we have a splash screen of visual and numeric data. that let us know, have they passed? A numeric indication of how strong they passed. So here in the upper left, it says there was a calibration accuracy of 0.47 inches. They have passed. We can see the 5 targets on the screen where we asked them to look. And so this visual data screen will let us know some of this critical information on how accurate they can be and what we can expect from them. Let me go on to the next slide. Here is a more complex visual splash screen after calibration. We have 9 points. We have some numbers, and this person has not yet calibrated accurately enough. So I'd like to show you a success calibration next. When the screen comes up, this will let us know which portions of the visual field are their strongest and are their weakest. And this will help us, again, know kind of how to tighten up calibration or where we need to provide more support and where, if any, regions might be impossible for this person to reach. So here I'm sitting down with Yama, one of our new office staff. This is my first time calibrating him. Looking here at this image already, we can answer question 1. Is the eye trackable? We see the visual tracking indicator between his face and the right eye, so we know that it's tracking his eye. And let's watch how he does on his first calibration.
Looks pretty good. Go ahead and look at that dot to start calibration. Good, keep trying.
Right, so we see at the top, the splash screen says his calibration accuracy was 0.08 inches and he passed his calibration. How do we interpret this? Now, our goal really is to provide clinics with a trial Eyegaze Edge device, and our job is to teach you how to interpret this visual and numeric data. So what I got from this short video was that Yama calibrated with a 9-point calibration with a 0.08 inch accuracy on the first try. So that was very good. What we do with this number is we take 0.08 inches times 2, which equals 0.16 inches. If we were to create a square that has sides of 0.16 inches on each side, that's the size of a target that I am expecting Yama to be able to hit accurately, be able to navigate around comfortably. So this number helps us translate into button size. And then we can also know kind of a starting place and, where they might jump in and not have too hard of a time. Once we get them calibrated, we want to move on to step 3 is, okay, we're going to take this calibration and we're going to translate it into an actual meaningful activity. So can we optimize their access to things that really benefit them? So that might be communication phrase pages and keyboards. Maybe they really want to send SMS text messages or email, go on social media, websites and such. So our next question is taking this kind of calibration and numbers and putting it into action. With Yama, he got a 0.08 inch accuracy calibration. So that's very small. So he's going to be able to hit small targets accurately from the start. He is fluent on a QWERTY keyboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him right into a keyboard and give him a simple task of spelling his name for me and seeing how he does.
I'm going to have you go to the chat keyboard. And if you could type your first name. Hit that speak button up top, upper left. Yama. And then pause in the lower right. Cool.
Now we see that Yama did perfectly on the first try. He was able to hit and navigate those small buttons easily. I had to teach him to look at the speak button in the upper left, and I had to teach him how to pause the eye tracking function when he's done in the lower right. When we set someone kind of onto the field of eye tracking for the first time, we need to help them feel and understand the rhythm of the activity that we're asking them to do. Kind of like when you set a metronome on top of the piano while you're learning to play the piano for the first time. What I want to do next is go into some screens that show examples of looking at big buttons. Now, we might start here for someone whose calibration accuracy is not as robust as what we just saw, but I just wanted to show you all the various button sizes here and how we would coach someone for the first time to access them.
Good. I'm going to try you on some big buttons, so I'm going to have you look at medical. And then let's go to common phrases and positioning. And if you could just go across that top row for me as if you're reading. So please fix my pillows.
I want to stand up. I want to lie flat.
Good.
Please turn me on my side. Please.
Go to that first one. Please fix my pillows.
Please fix my pillows.
Pause. Okay, so it looks accurate on those big buttons. That's good.
Yep.
All right, let me show you some medium buttons. Here I'm using the example of our integrated web browser within iWorld, and you'll notice that I don't actually move onto the task of surfing the web yet because that is a complex task. I just want to put some medium-sized buttons on the screen, see if he is able to navigate them all right, and I want to start whetting his appetite to understand, hey, here's what surfing the web is going to require of you.
Internet. And let's just do, Amazon right there. First thing I'm going to have you do is look at the pause button. Okay, so our web page is loaded already. I'm going to have you unpause and let's just look at the mouse button on the left. And I want you to just hit the right click button, double click, drag, zoom to click, and then pause.
And we see that he was able to follow my instructions right away. And when it comes time to me to teach him how to navigate the web using just his eyes, he'll have the foundational framework of here's what it looks like. There are many pages within the MindExpress software platform that you can access. I like this next one because it focuses on a variety of medium and large size buttons in a very kind of exploratory, playful way. Now this is Kim, so we got her calibrated earlier, and I wanted to see, can she navigate around this page freely for the first time?
The first button is that conductor, and then if you could hit play, and then look at the drum set there. And just play each of those drums.
Okay.
Kim was able to access those medium and large size buttons just fine. Again, the nice thing about this page is there's no wrong answer. It allows you to, without pressure, explore and understand what is happening with your eyes. Then we might translate this next to go to a keyboard. She's also keyboard literate. I want to see if she can type her name, type a few words, and get comfortable on smaller buttons. There may be times where you're having a breakdown in answering questions 1 and 2, so the calibration phase. And we only have a small window of time with someone before they might get frustrated or give up or get tired. The beautiful thing about the Eyegaze Edge, again, is we have this live on-screen eye image. So even without calibration, we can know if the camera is pointed at and is focused on their eyes and see how they do, even without calibration. What I'm going to show you here is I will point the camera at my eyes and focus it and show you how I'm able to hit 2 large buttons, left and right, without calibration, and also 4 large buttons perfectly without calibration. So even without calibration, we have some visual data to help us break through and get something done. So here's the focus on my eyes.
Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. Hi.
And now 4 buttons.
Mommy. Hi. Daddy. Bye. Mommy.
Now this comes in handy again when there's breakdown in calibration and you're not sure what's happening, but you want to engage them in some sort of activity so you don't lose them. And sometimes once you engage them, you can bring them back to calibration and they're attending to and understanding what's happening. And sometimes you can get them calibrated. All right, wrapping things up. Using these specific tools, my experience has been that with the Eyegaze Edge, in a matter of minutes, we can tell you if their eyes are trackable. and if there are any compounding factors related to their eyes that are going to get in the way during any eye gaze trials. We can tell you how accurately they can calibrate and what size buttons may be appropriate to start with. We can tell you if they can access screens that they need to connect with the world. We did not show video examples this time, but the Mind Express software has a heat mapping capability, which you can turn on any page, and we have several pages where this is turned on as an evaluation tool. Heat mapping lets us know where their eyes are attending, where their eyes are pointing, and where their eyes can reach within the visual field. And sometimes answering these questions are critical in getting them the access that they need when it's a more tricky case. That said, my experience has been with a variety of clinics and patient types, whether they be straightforward cases or extremely complex cases, that along with a thorough pre-screening, the data captured from the Eyegaze Edge will lay the foundation for efficient Eyegaze AAC trials across the board, letting you know of any obstacles and then how to troubleshoot them quickly. So I teach clinicians to start their trials with the Eyegaze Edge so they can get from the start a good eye image and understand what's happening with that eye, if there are any compounding factors. Again, knowing, is their eye trackable, how accurately can they calibrate, and then how can we translate that calibration into meaningful communication activity. The Eyegaze Edge for many people is such an accurate experience. It also gives clients kind of a gold standard to compare every device to. Now, no eye tracker is perfect, and we are huge believers in again, collecting evidence from a wide variety of eye trackers and devices to find the one that really fits that individual's eyeballs and the person's need in their life. The Eyegaze Edge will add tremendous amounts of data and value to this process, and when done at the beginning, it can really get the evaluator and the person off on the right foot and minimize distractions and minimize factors that will take away from the eye gaze experience throughout the different devices. I want to thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to show one last video. We've really focused on answering these three questions. For some folks who come to us and say, you know what, eye gaze has never worked for me. It doesn't work with my eyes. One of the strengths of the Eyegaze Edge is our software has several accommodations that we can specifically manipulate based on the eye image and the numbers that we're seeing. And these two cases here show two people who were basically stuck. Our first young man, he has had eye surgeries, he has very thick glasses, and he has struggled to find a device that worked for him. We were able to get him through, get the eye tracker tweaked to really read his eyes, calibration, and you're going to see him typing sentences for the first time. The next clip that rolls into is a speech therapist that we met at the ASHA conference. She has severe nystagmus, and she said, eye tracking has never worked for me. It's not going to work. We took a look, we changed the settings, we got her tracked, calibrated, and we changed the keyboard so it was working, it was accessible for her. So these two clips really show the combination of asking these three questions, making the changes based on what we're seeing, and honing the device to work for them. Interesting thing about the second clip is if you look at her eye image in the upper left-hand part of the screen, you will see her nystagmus, her eyes moving back and forth. So pay attention to that.
N. E. The Foundation IS said the Black King has come for his throne.
Speech.
Beautiful.
If your clinic is ready to take the next step and have an Eyegaze Edge loaner device and training, we invite you to take out your smartphone now and scan this QR code. You can also reach out to us by email at info@eyegaze.com. check out our website, which is eyegaze.com. And we would love to provide you this additional tool and provide you some training on how to set up the Eyegaze Edge, how to read that on-screen eye image, the calibration splash screen, the numeric and visual data, and then how to go through and make the most common adjustments once you get into the iWorld program. Thank you so much for joining us for this presentation, and we hope to hear from you soon.